Can you fake your own murder? Detectives in Florida can confidently say it's possible after they managed to solve this mind-baffling case. The body of 71-year-old Alan Abramson was found on the morning of January 25, 2018, in a field in an upscale community in Florida. He'd been killed by a single gunshot wound to the chest.
Do you have your identification on you?
I take my dogs for a walk every morning. I took them at 5:30. There was nothing. Came back here just 7 o'clock. The dogs come running over here and look.
His death was immediately approached as a homicide investigation. The crime scene and surrounding area in Palm Beach Gardens, where Alan's body was found, were scoured for evidence, but no weapon or bullet casings could be found. In fact, there was little evidence at all to be recovered from the scene, aside from Alan's cell phone, a few pieces of string, and some rubber bands. Investigators obtained security footage from the area and mapped out a timeline for the day of Alan's death. At 5:53 a.m., he's seen leaving his residential community for his usual early morning walk to meet a friend for coffee. Only this day, he never arrived. Instead, at 6:30 a.m., camera audio picked up the sound of the gunshot that killed him. What struck officers as odd, though, was that it only took about 4 minutes to get from where Alan is seen on camera to the field where he was found dead. What else was going on during that 37-minute gap? Alan's activities in the days leading up to his death also revealed something peculiar. He'd purchased a large helium tank, and he'd received a receipt in his email inbox thanking him for his purchase of a $55 weather balloon, although he didn't have any hobbies or interests that would explain these purchases. Yet another odd finding, there was a strange line of blood on the shirt Alan was wearing when he died. That's when one of the detectives came up with a wild theory. It was possible that Alan Abramson wasn't murdered, but committed suicide. Using Alan's cell phone, they obtained access to his Google activity. What they found was evidence enough to confirm their outlandish theory.
How big a helium balloon do you need to lift 3 pounds? Shot in the heart, do you die instantly? Do life insurance policies pay for suicide?
Investigators believe Alan inflated a weather balloon, tied it to his gun, and shot himself in the chest. As he let go of the gun, the balloon carried it up and away, but not before the string likely passed over his wound, leaving the thin line of blood on his shirt. The balloon likely burst over the ocean, disposing of the evidence. To explain this wild story further and how exactly police were able to put the pieces together is WPBF reporter Terry Parker.
If you read the police reports, they discovered that Alan Abramson was very interested in a life insurance payout. He had a life insurance policy. He had been doing searches on his cell phone and his laptop for years about will life insurance pay for suicide. So while they never came out and said, hey, we think that's the motive, that was the implication.
Okay. And do you know what happened to that life insurance money? I mean, was it paid out since it was ruled a suicide?
Life insurance policies will pay for suicide if the policy is already in effect for, say, more than 2 years before the death occurs. So it doesn't automatically rule it out. In this case, we don't know whether Alan Abramson's wife did receive that payout, but there's a good chance she may have.
Now, there's a lot of intrigue around this case for a number of reasons, but obviously it's important to remember it was still a loss, and I'm sure a big shock to the family who had no idea about this plan. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
It was a huge shock. Alan Abramson had remarried and had 2 stepchildren at least with his wife. By all accounts, they were all very happy. They enjoyed holidays. No one saw anything wrong with him. He seemed to have a, quote, zest for life. His 2 children from a prior marriage were rather estranged from him, but even they were very upset when you watch the police interviews following his death. At that time, of course, they thought it was a murder.
So this was a pretty elaborate plan. For it all to work, Alan had to fill up the weather balloon either beforehand or at the scene. So did investigators ever find the helium tank that he had used?
They didn't find the helium tank, and there's a theory that perhaps he ditched it in a nearby lake on the golf course because there was that, say, 30-minute gap, but no, they did not find it.
What was your reaction or the reaction in the newsroom to this new development when police said this may not be a murder?
It was stunning. I don't think anybody could believe that a plot this elaborate and unusual had actually occurred here. It was so well thought out and well planned, and basically it almost worked. After all, they never found a helium balloon. They never found the weapon, the so-called murder weapon, and Alan Abramson was originally deemed to be a murder suspect.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, other things you think viewers should know about the story?
You know, I really think Alan Abramson might have gotten away with this plot if it were not for his own cell phone and the secrets it revealed when detectives got into it. He had deleted his hard drive on his laptop. He had deleted the search history on his cell phone, but he didn't realize way down deep in this phone was this treasure trove of information. And once police and detectives cracked that, they had their case. With all of today's technology, I think it's very hard for someone to get away with either murder or suicide.
What do you think about this outlandish case? Have there been any bizarre cases like it in your community? Be sure to tell us about it in the comments. I'm Alexandra Stone, and this has been your Weekly Dispatch. Thanks for watching. Click here for more Dispatches from the Middle.